In governance audit cycle. Question 4. A. I will present the steps diagrammatically. All right. This is a governance audit cycle. Governance audit cycle. Governance audit cycle. I'll have the first step there. The second step, I'll have it there. The third step, the fourth step, the fifth step, the sixth step, and the seventh step. Okay. Now, the first step is what we call governance audit engagement. Governance audit engagement. Governance audit engagement. Now, the engagement of a governance auditor shall be in accordance with the governance audit guidelines on appointment of governance auditors. Then the second step is what we call management representations. Management representations, this is the second step. Candidates, the governance auditor shall obtain written representations from management on matters material to the governance report when other sufficient governance audit evidence does not exist. And the written representations include management's responsibility for the design and implementation of governance practices and also governance control systems. That is step number 2. Then step number 3, the third step, let me have it down there. The third step is self-assessment. 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 What is this self-assessment all about? Candidates, an organization is expected to conduct a self-assessment based on self-assessment tool that is issued by the institute. Self-assessment tool that is issued by the institute. And this self-assessment tool that is issued by the institute has various parameters. The self-assessment is based on various parameters, like 1, the ethical leadership and strategic management. Number 2, transparency and disclosure. Number 3, we have the compliance with laws and regulations. 4, communication with stakeholders. 5, board independence. And governance. 6, we have board policies, systems, practices, procedures. 7, consistent stakeholders and shareholder value enhancement. 8, corporate social responsibility and investment. 9, sustainability. And lastly, self-assessment completion record. Those are parameters upon which an organization is expected to carry out self-assessment. That is step number 3. Then step number 4, after self-assessment, we have the governance self-assessment report. Governance self-assessment report. Governance self-assessment report is a structured representation of the practice of governance as prepared by management of an organization based on the self-assessment tool that is provided by the institute. The governance self-assessment report includes accompanying notes and evidence derived from governance records and intended to communicate an organization's governance status and compliance obligations. And this is done at a given point in time in accordance with a governance reporting framework. That is step number 4. Step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, step number 4. Moving on to step number 5. Step number 5 is known as the desk review and field work. 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 Now, candidates, after receiving the signed self-assessment report, signed assessment tool, 2 things. After receiving the governance self-assessment report and the self-assessment tool in step number 3, together with accompanying evidence and relevant documents. Remember, we talked about accompanying evidence and relevant documents. Then the governance auditor shall conduct a desk review of the organization's governance practices and policies. Now, the purpose for the desk review, I'm talking about the purpose for the desk review. The purpose for this desk review exercise is to ascertain the accuracy of the self-assessment report and the completed self-assessment tool against evidence and the documents that are provided. That is step number 5. We have step number 6, which is the management letter. Management letter. Management letter. The purpose of the management letter is to communicate key internal governance control systems and other issues that may have been noted in the course of the governance audit. The management letter shall highlight matters or issues like the deficiencies in the governance and compliance systems and records. The letter can also highlight deficiencies in the design or implementation of internal governance controls. It may also highlight areas where efficiency in management could be improved. The letter can highlight inadequate policies, practices, systems, and procedures. This letter can also highlight non-compliance. Okay? Non-compliance with what? With legal, regulatory, and governance framework. The management letter can also be used by the governance auditor to highlight difficult areas for verification, and that may be due to the absence of relevant evidence or documents. The letter can highlight points outstanding from previous management letters and other matters affecting the conduct of the governance audit. So this letter is drafted by the governance auditor to the auditee. So that is step number 6. Then the last step is a governance audit report. Governance audit report. A governance audit report is an independent opinion by the governance auditor on the appropriateness, the adequacy and effectiveness of governance practices of an organization based on available evidence. And in preparing the governance audit report, the governance auditor shall comply with the prescribed format of a governance audit report. So that is the last step in the governance audit cycle. The first step we mentioned is the governance audit engagement. The second step is the management representations. The third step is self-assessment, which we said is based on self-assessment tool that is provided by the institute. Number 4, we have the governance self-assessment report. Step number 5, desk review and field work. Step number 6, management letter. Step number 7, Governance Audit Report. That's the answer to the question. Number 4.
No internet is required to study. You can actually download all content at once, prepare your own timetable, and study at your own pace. The video lectures are laced with study techniques and exam tips. Lectures are carefully selected from distinguished institutions of learning like Strathmore, KCA, UON, TUC, among others.
That we are transmitting.
Offering learning materials is our core business. For the last 15 years, we have diligently and consistently provided support for students. Leverage on our experience to boost your chances of passing the impending CASNEP exams. Download pre-recorded CASNEP video lectures at www.manifestedpublishers.com and study offline. For more inquiries, call 0724 173 845.